to go over our portrait editing and using a fun little effect with the Gaussian blur. First thing, like usual, bring up Photoshop and go ahead and find the final portrait that you would like to edit. So File, Open. And I'm going to use another picture of my adorable cat. And please remember, the first time that you bring up the photo, first thing you want to do is go ahead and go to Image, Image Size, make sure the resolution is at 300, and then we're going to go ahead and size our photo to the final photo size that we want. And then for this project, it's going to be another 4:6. So you change one of the width or heights, and the other will change with it. So now we have our 4:6 image. And again, to zoom in, it is Command plus, just to make our image a little bit bigger as we are going to be editing. First thing you're going to want to do is, if you would like to do any blemish editing or clone stamping, you can go ahead and do so. And remember, the healing brush looks like the Band-Aid, and then the clone stamp looks like a stamp. If you wanted to, you could zoom in, and maybe I'll get rid of this hair right there. So you can do little things to get rid of them before you actually start editing the photo. Once you do any blemish removal, it's to your liking. You can go ahead and go for any of the color adjustments. I usually start out with levels. You're going to want to bring the sliders to around the like apex of the first little hump, but really just move the slider and see where you want to go. So there, it's a little overexposed, too light. Bring it back a little. Get the darkness in there. I also like to go to vibrance. Most pictures, if you push up the vibrance, it gives a little more intense look to it. You don't want to go too much where it looks a little fake. You can bump it up so it looks pretty nice. And then what I did in class too is I just decided that I would like to make this one black and white, so you can get rid of the saturation and it'll turn that photo into black and white. Okay, I'm going to take the vibrance and the levels and my background. I'm going to hold down Shift to select them all, right click, and I'm going to merge the layers together. So now they're all one layer, so I can work with them together at once. This layer is locked right now, so if you double click, it'll unlock the layer, and then you can go ahead and rename it, and I'm just gonna name it background, and now we can work with that. So the fun thing about using the blur is working with layers. So under our layers, I just have a background layer. That's all I have right now. If I right click on here, I can just go to duplicate layer, and then this one I'm going to add the blur, so I'll just name it background blur. So now I have these two layers that I get to work with, and remember, we can take and slide them, so one will be on top of the other, or one will be in the background or the foreground. What I'm going to do with the blur, make sure you have that selected. I'm going to go out to my filters and go to blur. Now if you want to mess around with some other filters throughout all or most of these, there's going to be some different filters you can use. And then there's subcategories under all those as well. But under blur, go to Gaussian blur. I'm going to zoom out so you can see the actual picture. And then you can work around with how blurry you would like this. So I think of the like Instagram filter, which makes a background kind of blurry. This is essentially what we're doing here. So if you want to really focus in on your portrait or your main image, and you have a busy background, you can make it a little bit blurry so it doesn't deter from your portrait. So let's say I'll just go with 19 pixels, and I'll click OK. So in the layers, these little eyeballs, you can click, and then you will not see that layer, so we're only seeing the background now. But essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take an eraser, and we're going to go ahead and erase some parts of the cat. So it'll erase the blur to reveal what's in the background, which is our clear image. So on the eraser, you will have some options up here. You can do like a hard circle or a soft outside circle. I like choosing that option. And then the brackets left and right, So left bracket makes it smaller, right bracket will make it a little bit bigger. And then you have an opacity. So right now I'm around 60%. So every time I click to erase, 60% of those pixels will be erased. And every time I click and go over it again, it'll take another 60% away. So now you can go around the outside of where your image is and start revealing what's on the background. So again, we are deleting that layer to reveal what's in the background. And again, you can try different filters. You can do different coloring where you can erase and reveal what's back there. So I'll go through, erase a bunch of this. And then the fun look at this is if you now get rid of the background, then you can see what's going on here. And I can go through and erase some more of these. And then look at it again. So now I can really see the actual image of the cat. The background's a little bit blurry. So you can mess around with these different options and go through some different blurs, different erasing. You can even add another layer and do some more filters on there. But it's good to play around and to see what you have. Once you have yours figured out, we go to File. I'm going to go to Save As. You're going to rename this. I'll rename it my cat's name in blur. I would typically save it to your desktop, and then again, make sure it is a JPEG, because that is what you're going to turn in for your final picture. If you are not done editing this, then you want to keep it a Photoshop document so you can open it up and continue working with the layers. But if you're done, just go to JPEG, max out the quality, go ahead and save it, and then you're ready to turn this in.